morning. Good morning. I wonder what happened. I wonder what happened. Okay, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it because I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, it's because let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. Ooh, I have my stuff. Okay, do I have enough? Okay, good. So here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the abacus, right? We're talking about the abacus. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. Whew, it's early. It's almost time. I'm going to do it. Let's go do it. Hey, good morning, TikToker. Okay, good morning, good morning. So, we are going to be talking about the abacus and how to learn and read the abacus. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn to read the abacus. When we read the abacus, all it is a bunch of beads, right? These are a bunch of beads, and anything at the bottom of the bead, anything at the bottom of the bar is considered one. Has a value of 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that all these beads are touching the beam. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. So anything touching the beam, right? This is my beam. This is my horizontal bar. This horizontal bar, I wonder, is what counts on the abacus. So when we count on the abacus, this is 4. So if you notice when we supertize, like something like this, right, we know that this is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Supertizing is the idea of being able to look at a number and look at the amount of items, and it will tell me that it's the number 4. Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Come on in. Come on in. We're talking about the abacus, and we're going to be learning a little bit about math. Now, why are we learning math? That's early in the morning because I love the abacus. I love the abacus. All right. So I'm hoping that everybody can hear. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. My name is Lynette, and I'm talking about the abacus, and I have created a book to teach children. Right now, it's to teach children how to read the abacus. Why are we reading the abacus? We're reading the abacus because it helps the children to understand number value, right? Number bonds and number sense and strong math skills and so forth. That's what learning about the abacus is. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to read the abacus. To read the abacus, we know that this is going to be 4. How do I know? Because all of these beads, 1, 2, 3, 4, is touching this horizontal bar. When these beads are touching the horizontal bar, that means it's counted, right? Just like how if we want to, like this, we mean that this is zeroed out. When it's zeroed out, that means it's just 0, which is interesting because in school, they actually don't teach to start from 0. They teach from starting from 1. But in abacus, we actually teach from 0 because we want to make sure that our abacus is nice and clean. So when we are looking at this, right, and we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, that is how we read the abacus. Let's see if I can move that over a little bit. All right, so that's how we read the abacus. We're counting on the abacus, and if it touches the beam like this, right, it's being counted. Now notice there's only 4 beads touching. Well, what happened to 5? What happened to 5? Well, 5 is actually the top bead. The top bead will always be, hi everybody, good morning. The top bead will always have the value of 5, no matter what abacus you're on. So we're on this abacus, this is 5, this is 5, this is 5, this is 5, this is 5. These are all 5s if I do that. See, all of these are touching the beam, these are all 5s. But what we're going to do is we're going to use on this one. Why? Because there's this dot. This dot tells me, let me see if I can do that. This dot, there we go. This dot tells me that this is the location of my home, of the ones column. When we do the ones column, then we know where we are, right? Just like your home, your bed, where you sleep, that's where your home is. Well, 1, like this is the ones column. So the ones column, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands. So if you notice there's another dot here, ooh, that's a little bright. So if you notice there's another one here, this one is also, you can also use this as a 1 as well. So you could use this as a 1, or you can use this, depending on how big ever the number is. Good morning, everybody. Ooh, good morning, everybody. So going back to here, this is 5. So if this is 5, then when we add, this is 6. Now, if that's 6, what does that mean? Well, this is the top bead, which is 5, and then we add the 1 bead, which is 6, right? So we have 5 and 6, and then now we have 7. Hi, good morning, everybody. We're just reading the abacus. When we learn how to read the abacus, we can actually do multiplication, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division on the abacus. So, continuing on, we have 5, 6, 7. Good morning, everybody. So, easy enough. If I add 1, we have 8. So we have 8, and then we have 9. We have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, if you notice, what about 10? Well, just like how let me see if I can find my papers. I can always never find anything because I'm always moving around. Just like how we have papers. No, that's not right. Okay, I don't know. Anyways, anybody here? No. Okay, just like how we write the 10, right? 10, just like that. You know what? I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this, just like the 10. Hi, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Just how we write the 10, like that. Can we do that? Is that going to work? There we go. So, just like how we write the 10, this is the tens column, and this is the ones column. So just like how we write it, we can put it on the abacus, right? So we have 10, and then we have 11, 12, 13, 14. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. We're talking about math and this awesome tool called the abacus. So this right here is 14. If everybody knows, it's 14. How do I know? Because I have 1 on this column, right? I have 1 on this column, and I have 4 on this column. Oh dear, that's a funny name. Okay, sorry. Okay, so we have 1 over here and 4 over here. How do I know? Because the beads that are touching the beam is being counted. And if you look, it looks like 14 because there's a 1 here and there's a 4 here. And it's easy to see how the digits are, how the values are. If you know what the values are, then it's easy to be able to read the abacus. And that's what we're doing right now is we need to learn how to read the abacus first. And we all got to start from somewhere, right? We all got to start from learning how to read the abacus. I want to look for my numbers, and I can't. It irks me that I have all these things and I can't find them when I need them. Anyways, so we have 14. So after we have 14, right, we can do 24. How do I know? Because I have a 2 and I have a 4. So, hey, how do I add? Yes, we're going to go on to adding. We're going to go on to adding when we understand how to do some reading of the numbers. So, if that's the case, Optimus subprime. Okay, if we're okay with that, you know what, before we carry on, let me know in the comment, what do we all think what number this is? And then we can start on counting, we can start on adding and subtracting. So if we could tell me what number this is, I will continue on. And then I'll get a question ready. So, anybody know what number this is? Put in the comment what number you think this is. So if we think about it, this is our ones, our tens, and our hundreds. Yes, exactly. Okay, right. So since we have Optimus Prime and Optimus Subprime, thank you so much for commenting. So when we add, it's the simplest thing, right? Because when we add, we're going to do the first thing is we're going to understand that we're going to do simple addition, which means that if I have enough beads, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add, right? So I have 5, and then I want to add 4. 4. So what do I do? 1, 2, 3, 4, and I add the 4. So then my answer is 9. Not a problem, right? So then we do the same thing where if we do 6 plus 1. So that was the whole reason why I had this book. The reason why I had this book is I teach the children. So in the beginning of the book, we talk about bead recognition. In the beginning of the book, we talk about bead recognition, understanding that these beads mean the 5, right? And I have activities to go with it. But, the first thing that they need to do is they need to understand that the 9 looks like, all the 9s, right? So if I do all the 9s like this, I wanted them to know that this is 9. So when we start doing adding and subtracting, so if I go towards the back of the book, we start doing adding and subtracting. Well, notice we have the 1. We do 1. Well, why are we doing plus 1? Because I wanted to focus in on the process and not the result. So there was one time I was like watching a video and I was just doing research to see what other math people are doing or how mainstream math is doing stuff. So one of the ones was like, okay, you know what? The question was 5 plus 3. I was like, okay, well, that's easy. It's easy on the abacus. Why? Because we have 5. I'm going to use this bead, this dot right here. I have 5, and notice I have enough beads to add the 3, right? So I'm going to add my 3. So they were like, oh, yay, it's 3, it's 8, it's 8. And they were like so focused on the result. Well, that's fine. I mean, it's great to focus on the result. So the next question was 7 plus 1. So again, 7 plus 1 was like, oh, it's 8. Well, how does it look like on the abacus? Well, if I do 7, right? If I do 7 on the abacus, notice, do I have enough beads to add the 1? Yeah, I have enough beads to add the 1. That's not a problem, right? I'm just going to add the 1. So then, again, they were like, oh, yeah, awesome, it's 8, that's fantastic. Okay, not a problem, not a problem. Okay, but now it gets a little bit loaded because then the next question was 4 plus 4. Abacus, we don't learn No, abacus, we don't memorize the doubles. We don't memorize doubles because it's not practical. We don't learn the doubles and because it's only one thing, right? You only learn the doubles. In abacus, we actually learn the process. So what does that mean? Well, I'm going to change colors. So we know that's the same color. So we know that 4 plus 4, we've all memorized that 4 plus 4 is 8. We've all memorized that, right? But let's see on the abacus. This is where we go one step further, right? We do, let me do this side. We do 4. Notice I don't have enough beads to add the 4. Now we have to do one step further. One step further is, well, what am I going to do? I don't have any more beads. How do I add that on the abacus? Okay, there's a few things that we need to start understanding now because now the questions are becoming a little bit not complex. They're just simple, but there's just a different way of thinking things. So in school, it's interesting. In school, we're actually teaching children the 5 concept, right? How to make a 5. And that's like the biggest thing. Like in kindergarten, it's like how to make a 5. So if I want to add 4, right? I have 1, it's equal to 5. So I have 1 plus 4 is equal to 5. That's great. That's fantastic. We also do the backwards way. We do the other way. I don't want to call it inverse because it's not inverse. So we do the other way. We know that 1 plus 4 is equal to 5. Hi, good morning, Mirsha. 1 plus 4 is equal to 5. This is fantastic. That is not a problem. But in school, that's how they stop. They only stop at this level right here. But in abacus, we actually take it one step further. When we take it one step further, what does that mean? What we notice is that we have this. This is considered 5. Because we considered this 5, we're going to isolate this. We're going to isolate this variable. We're going to isolate this number. How do we isolate the number? What we have? We know that 4 plus 1 is equal to 5. We know this. So what do I do? Well, if I rewrite the equation, or if I rewrite the formula, if I rewrite this addition sentence, there's so many terminologies in math. Notice that it's not balanced. If it's not balanced, how do we balance this out? All we got to do is take away the 1, right? This is the I don't. This is an addition. Is it an addition sentence or a subtraction sentence? I don't have the terminologies for that. That's some. I'm still trying to figure out I'm still trying to figure out mainstream math to abacus. Anyways, so this is the big thing that we want to know. Okay, this is the huge thing. This is the shakers and the movers. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for sharing my live. Okay, so we're back to here. I'm back to here. Why? Because now this is the next step. When we want to add the 4, we want to add the 4, we want to add this 4. There's not enough beads to add the 4. So what do? I can actually add this 5. If you notice, I have my equation, right? I had it like this. I massaged it and made it a little bit nicer, right? And I packaged it up and I added it and made it look like this, right? What am I saying here? I want to take this, I want to substitute it into this question. So I'm going to take this information, I want to add the 5, take away the 1. I'm going to add the 5 and I'm going to take away the 1. Notice that? I'm going to add the 5, take away the 1. Because it's the same thing as adding a 4, but that's all we're doing. We're adding the 5 and taking away the 1. Now we're done. Now our answer is 8. See, notice in abacus, we actually focus on the process and not on the result. The result is all the same, but it's how do you get there? Just like a journey in life, right? How do we get to where we are? Because we have goals. But your goal is different. If we all have the same goal, our paths are always going to be different no matter what. Thank you so much for sharing the live. Welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for the hearts. Hey, good morning. Good morning. Did that make sense? Optimus subprime. If you're still in the house, hey, good morning, Audrey. I see you. I see you, Audrey. Hi, Apple user. Okay, so, thank you so much for sharing the live, Audrey. Did that make sense? Optimus Sobra. Hey, Alma. Oh, okay, good. Oh, sense made. Yes, yes. See, it. When we start understanding the fundamentals, when we start understanding the elements, well, you know what? I started coining, what we're learning here is we're learning the ingredients of math. The ingredients of math, like we're baking a cake. I'm going to bake a cake. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, the first thing what we just did is we knew what the simple was. The simple means that we have enough beads, right? So we have 7 plus the 1. We have enough beads. We don't need to go anywhere else. We don't need to figure out anything else. So that would be, what would be that? That would be like flour, right? So let's say simple is flour. So our simple addition is equal to flour, right? I'm going to bake a cake, right? So this right here, what we just learned, this is what we call the 5, making the 5. Whew. In regular school, they call it making the 5. They also call it having a 5 frame. And then in Abacus, they call it doing a friends, or doing small, or having friends, or small friends, or plus 5. I mean, there's so many different terminologies, but really, if you really like boil it down to it, it's just the next phase of understanding the numbers in the number sense. So this would be like, if everybody's okay with gluten, this is going to be oh no, sorry, simple as flour. So if everybody's okay and not worried about being lactose intolerant, learning the 5 is having milk. So this is my milk, right? Because we're gonna make a cake. So then after that, it will be sugar. So, that's a brilliant analogy. Anyways, now, okay, let's expand on this a little bit, right? Let's expand on this a little bit. Hey, good morning, good morning. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Woo. Okay, so we're going to expand on this a little bit. Now we're talking about the 5. We're talking about making a 5, right? We kind of understand that, when we add stuff. Oh, sorry, let me continue on with this. So here, the way I broke up the book is we're adding the 2. What does that mean? Well, I wanted the children to know that we're adding 2 beads, right? Because what are we doing? What we're doing is we're showing the different scenarios of adding the beads. So we have 6, so I have 6 on the abacus, right? And then I want to add 2, I add 2. These are the two beads that I add. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter if it's these 2 beads or these 2 beads or these 2 beads. We just want them to know that it's 2 beads, okay? Where do you get this book? This book is available on Amazon. So you can search for my name. My name is Lynette Young. Yeah. Yes, thank you. So, thank you so much for asking. But yeah, you can get this on Amazon for right now. And it's called Preschool Abacus. And in the beginning, we talk about learning the numbers and how to read the numbers. And then afterwards, like in the later part, in like lesson 9, 10, 11, we start talking about adding and subtracting. And the way I have it broken up is we talk about the add in, right? We talk about the second add in, like what are we doing with this number? So here we have number 3. When we have number 3, and I want to add on the abacus, notice if this is 5, right? This is 5, and I add 3. I do 3. My question will always be, do I have enough beads? So do I have enough beads? 1, 2, 3. Yes, I do. So I'm just going to add it. That's what you call simple, because you have enough beads. So again, questions become a little sparse, so I had to get a little creative. And then it gets like the plus 4. But in order to know if we add the 4, right, if we're doing addition, we will always show the subtraction, because we need to balance our operation, right? So we know how to add the 4. The next lesson would be minus. The next lesson would be taking away. So one thing was to take away. We have 3 and we take away 2. These are the 2 beads we're going to take away. Make sense? So when we add the 4, right, we had 4, so we're on this question here. We take away 2. Why? Because we're at the 2. We're taking away the 2. And the one thing is I wanted to get the kids to understand what it would be like to take away the 2. Now, for even us, right, even for adults, I would still recommend having to go through all the questions. Why? To see how the numbers move. Because in school, we push all the kids to learn how to use the numbers. And if you're really thinking about it, numbers are symbols. If numbers are symbols, we actually there's no meaning behind it. But if you work it on the abacus, it's a lot easier to see. So if I have 9 and I take away 2, these are the 2 beads I need to take away, right? So that's what this is. And so once we learn all the way to 4, the next lesson is learning to 5. So what happens? After 4, we need to know how to add the 5. Adding the 5 is the easiest. Why? Because it's just this top bead. So we have 1 plus 5. Wow, it's 6, right? We have 2 plus 5. Oh, it's 7. We have 3 plus 5. It's 8. We have 4 plus 5. It's 9. Oh, yeah, thank you for being an amazing teacher. Oh, yeah, no problem. You know what? I really love Abacus, and I think it's the greatest thing next to sliced bread. I mean, I'm very happy and I appreciate that our people are open to learning something different, but it's not new. Funny, right? This is not new math. This is actually old math. And I crack myself up a lot because I find a lot of things funny. And it's not to say that you're not being you're not being you're not being dumb, because we don't know this. I mean, when I learned this when I was like old. I learned this when I was old. But my kids know it, and my kids are a lot faster than I am. I'm like super slow on the abacus. But we all have to learn. When we start the journey of learning the abacus, we just need to learn how to read it. Once we learn how to read it, then we can start doing adding and subtracting. How are you always live? You know what? Because I enjoy the conversations, and I enjoy, like, talking about abacus and talking abacus to like adults. You know why? Because I like the I like I like the questions when adults ask, because kids don't ask questions. Right? Like, we're like, how come we don't learn doubles, right? Well, we don't learn doubles because we know how to modify, we know what the process is, right? So it's like, it's intriguing questions that makes me think, like, how did I learn it when I was a kid, and how is it different now? You know what I mean? So, like, I've been teaching abacus for like 20 years, more than 20 years. And my kids, they're not old, but they're kind of old. And they don't care about abacus anymore. Which is fine, because I'm just here to, I want to empower the children, the young children, the adults, whoever wants to learn abacus. I'm here to empower you to say, you know what, abacus is actually super easy, and it makes adding and subtracting ridiculously simple, like simple. Okay, so thank you for my compliments. Thank you. Okay, so the question is, we're going to continue on. We're going to do the plus 5. Oh, we did the plus 5, and then again we do plus 6, right? It's same thing. We have a 6. Notice, right? Notice when we have a 1, it's the top bead and the bottom. This is adding the 6, and then we're taking away the 6. So again, if we add the 6, we're going to show how to take away the 6. And that was the one thing that was kind of interesting, because kids in school, they're like, I don't know how to subtract. But the children, the people in abacus, they know the reason why is because it's part of the process. It's part of understanding that if I add it to the horizontal beam, we have to take it away from the horizontal beam. When we take it away from the horizontal beam, we already know that we're doing subtraction. We already know that we're reducing the number, right? So that was the interesting part about it, right? And it's like, oh, okay. And I make a lot of epiphanies, like doing carrying over. So that's like later on, but it's so funny. Okay, so if we're done adding and subtracting in the simple, we're done with learning how to do it simply, right? We have the plus, and then we take away, right? We take away the 5. It was easy, right? We take away the 7. That was easy. So the next thing we need to do is we need to understand how to do the 5 frame. Whoa, sorry, that was not an earthquake. I'm in California. That was not an earthquake. That's okay. All right. Right. So why are we talking about the 5? I mean, how to make a 5. How to make a 5. The reason why is in when we start learning how to add and subtract, when we learn how to add and subtract in the when we learn how to add and subtract on the abacus. This is very specific, right? Because I don't know the other strategies. I'm just letting you know. I don't know the other strategies. I know how to use the abacus. And so when I use the abacus, I made this chart where this here, the blue or the green, I don't know what color it is. It could be my camera. Anyways, the shade that's kind of looking like bluish green, like the color water. This is all considered simple. What does that mean? Well, if you look, I look at the question, right? I have 3. Excuse me, I have 3. If you look at the second add-in, it's a 5. So all I got to do is add the 5, right? So again, the question is do I have enough beads? And I do. So here I have 3. I do another 3, and I want to add 6. I add my 6. Okay? So that's not a problem. This is all simple. Now what we're doing is the next step is the friends, which is making of the 5. That was when I started talking about making the 5, and that's when we started talking about this, where we do this part. So if you notice, it's the same thing. If I have 1 and I want to add the 4, all I have to do is wait. So this is helping us use the finger. is using the finger abacus method. I'm sorry, I just joined not so long. No, you're perfectly fine. No, I actually don't teach the finger abacus. I know it's there. Excuse me. I know it's there, but I actually don't do finger abacus. I do the physical abacus. And the physical abacus is like, this is the Japanese one. There is a finger abacus, and I've heard of it, but I don't know that method. I don't know how they do it on their hands. I guess I could learn, but I would rather focus in on trying to teach my. No worries, no worries. I would rather teach how to use the abacus. So here, just like how we did it, right? We focus in on the second add-in. I'm sure it's the same. I'm sure it's the same. It's just depending on how you use it. It's very similar, I'm assuming, right? I don't know. But here, so we do the 4. When we want to do the 3, right? Again, when we want to add the 3, we don't have enough beads to add the 3. We know this thing. What do we know? We know that when we make a 5, how to make a 5 with a 3. Let me draw my 5 frame. This one user, she was fantastic. I think she was an architect, and she was telling me that there's four sticks in the middle. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. So now all I gotta do is just add the sticks. So here, right, when we do 3, right, when we do 4, sorry, where am I? I want to add the 3, I want to plus the 4. So I want to add the 4. Oh, so we're here. I want to add the 4, we have one box left. So when we have it, our equation is 1 plus 4 is equal to 5. We teach this to children right now. I think it's part of Common Core, which is great. It's not a problem, actually. But what we do in Abacus is we take it one step further, and we need to understand that what we're going to do is we're going to isolate this variable, this 4. We're going to isolate this 4, right? Because the question is, I need to write the question. 3 plus 4. This is the question. We need to look at this 4. So this 4 is this 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to isolate the variable. When we isolate the variable, we have this equation. We have plus the 4 is equal to plus the 5 minus 1. Now why? Because, now that's equal, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 5. The reason why we say plus 4 is equal to plus 5. Plus is the operator, and then minus 1 is to gently remind what we're doing on the abacus. I want to plus the 5 and take away the 1. Notice that? I want to plus the 5, plus 5, take away 1. Plus 5 minus 1. Plus 5, subtract 1. Add 5, remove 1. Right? There's so many ways of saying take away. So then my answer is 7. And I gotta do is talk about this. So the next step after learning the adding and subtracting, simply adding and subtracting, we talk about the plus 5 with who. Now, oh, that's where my thing was. I wanted to show this, where I had it where it talked about the tens. All right, so we are over here when we want to add the 4. It starts off teaching the children how to do the number lines, like how do I get a 5? So if I have 2, I move 3 times over. The number lines is being taught in school as well. Do we teach it in Abacus? You know what? No, but we should. Because why? Because it's all the same. It's all encompassing. And so here we talk about making the 5, and I kind of talked about like making 5 cats. The reason why is because I wanted to show how it relates. This is the 5 frame. Thank you so much for the hearts. So here, right? I wanted to show this is I was trying to be engaging. I'm trying to be engaging for the children because I'm assuming after you finish the preschool math, right? If they started at 3, they might be 4. So then I would have a story, right? If they started at 4 and then go to 5, right? They're 5 years old and they start this book, right? The story still it's kind of catchy. So this is why I did the 5 frame and with cats. I did the 5 frame with cats. So we did five boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I color in four cats, right? How many cats is not colored? Right? So if I color in 4 cats, so the idea is to get the children to also color it in because I wanted them to practice their motor skills as opposed to like doing it on the computer because computer and writing is what do you call it? It's just typing. But in here, I wanted them to like really practice how to like do their writing. So and then it carries on into having cats in a tree. So I was trying to correlate, okay, if we have 5 cats in a tree, what are we going to do? Now, the reason why we do 5 cats in a tree is because I wanted to get them to understand that this is the 5 cats in the tree. Because we don't see the actual 5 things, right? We don't see the 5 beads. We just know that there's cats in a tree. I could say birds in a tree. Somebody was like, no, that's not realistic. I'm like, yeah, so is a talking bird like Sesame Street. I don't even know if the kids talk. I don't know if the kids still do Sesame Street. Oh, but then there's Barney, the the purple dinosaur. Anyways, let me not go down that rabbit hole. Okay, so going back to this, the idea is having 5 cats in the tree. So here's 5 cats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it was going to the tree. So the sample question is add the 2. So I have 2, not a problem, right? But now the question is there enough beads to plus the 2? We're having a conversation with our question. And I think that's what we're kind of lacking in school. We don't have a discussion. Is there enough? No, there's not enough. What else can we do? So this is where we start talking about critical thinking and analyzing what we're trying to do. And it starts from the very start of learning abacus. So the question is how else am I going to add the 4? So what I do is I need to add the 4 is plus the 5 minus the 1. I've seen bottom to 5 beads, which equals the 5. Is it 4 and add to 5? Oh, you know what? Let me show you that. Let me finish my thought. So here is the 2, and I want to add the 4. So I have the 5, right? My formula that I want to do is plus the 5 minus the 1. And so my answer is 6. So the question was, I've seen, and now I've lost it. Oh, yeah. I've seen, that's the difference between this one is a Japanese abacus and a Chinese abacus. This here is the Chinese abacus. This is the Japanese abacus. Now the difference is the amount of beads. They work similar. They make it, oh, there we go. Just as Japanese do, they make everything more efficient. So it started off with the Chinese abacus, and I am, there we go. So they started off with the Chinese abacus. We all started with the Chinese abacus, like as abacus, the timeline of the abacus, right? We started off with the Chinese abacus. Now, what does that mean? Well, what we had it was we counted 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like on the Japanese abacus, we do 1, 2, 3, 4. Then notice that we have 5. We have 5 beads here. That's fine. It's not a problem. But but it gets a little bit hairy later on. So on the Japanese abacus, we do 5. Not a problem, right? They're different now. But wait, there's more. This is also 5. So it works the same, if that makes sense. It works the same. Let me see if I can change that. Okay, so we have 5. This is 5. Not a problem. But the problem is, in the Chinese one, it's a little redundant. We have 5 and we have 5. Okay, but in Japanese, this is 5 and it's only 5. Now, it's okay if your answer ends in 5, but it gets redundant. Why? Because now we got to bring it down to add 6. So if I want to count 6, this is 6. Right? And again, it's the same thing. 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, and now we're at 10. Japanese abacus, this is 10. This will always be 10 no matter what. The next column of your ones will always be 10, just like how we write. Not a problem. Chinese abacus is an issue. Not an issue. Is it an issue? It's not an issue. It's just more things to remember. Because now this is 10. But it's different because now we were calling that this was the ones column, but now we're 10. Well, that doesn't really logically make sense, right? But now this is also 10. Okay. That's not helpful at all. How do I know? Because it's 5 plus 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. And then we do 10. We do 10. So either this is 10, right? Or this is 10. Now the last one is doing this. That's 10. Which makes more sense because now we're talking about the columns as being the place value. So this is 10. Just like in the Japanese abacus, this is 10. So in the Chinese abacus, the problem is there's 3 ways and it gets a little redundant. And then your brain has to think, am I looking at 10? Or am I looking at 10? Or am I looking at 10? So the Japanese was like, you know what, this is kind of redundant. Let's make it more efficient, and that's where we had this. You could use the Chinese abacus like a Japanese abacus, but you would just use the middle beads just like that, and you would ignore the top beads. That's what it is. Yeah, got it. Oh yeah, great. So if you had a Chinese abacus, you could use it like a Japanese abacus. Not a problem. I mean, I do like the Chinese one because it's nice and big and it's not so, and it's kind of round and smooth. But oh, one thing about the Chinese abacus, I'm not sure, but I noticed this one doesn't have a marker to show me where the ones is. So I might get lost and I'll be like, oh, I like the zero, I like the being in the middle. But then if I go out to go get some water or whatever, and then come back and I'm like, oh, I don't remember if it was supposed to be 50 or if it was supposed to be 5. But on the Japanese abacus, it's kind of nice because they help us label it. This one has 2 dots. So this one is my dot for my ones, or this one can be my dot for ones. It actually doesn't matter which one. It's just as long as it's there, right? So it's the same thing with this one. This one is a 13 columns. This one is 7 columns. And it's the same concept, right? It's just not as colorful. And with this abacus, I still have my dots. And the dots still mean the same, that this is the ones place. And the other dots is nice to know that these are markers. So these markers are for, hey, Audrey, what is it called when we do thousands, like major markers? Because you know how we have the commas? I was trying to figure it out and I couldn't remember for the life of me what it was. So if we had a number, right? If we had a number that said, was it like 1,483. This comma, right, is a place value. Right, it's a place value, but it's a major place value. Is there such thing like a major place value? Because we have our ones, we have our thousands, and then we have our millions. I know there's a specific term for that, but I don't. For the life of me, I can't. It escapes me. So that was one of the questions. Anyways, I will have to do research on that. So going back to this, so the difference between the two, it's not because it's the color, it's just the amount of columns. This one happens to be 13 columns, this one is 7 columns. So on this abacus, we stay in the middle. No, you don't have to. I like to, because then I have a lot of numbers to make my numbers big, or I have a lot of numbers to make my numbers small. After the ones is my decimals. So if you notice, when we do our decimal, right, let's do $3.45. So here I can do $3.45. Now remember, this decimal does not take a place value. So since it doesn't take a place value, it doesn't sit on any of the columns, right? So it sits right in the middle between these two. So that's why we would have the decimal here. So that's why you need to specify which dot you're using, because if you use this dot, then this is going to be 00345. Yeah, right? So it's the same thing with this. If we have our ones here, then right here, right in the middle, would be my decimal place, and then all of this would be my tenths, my thousands, my 10,000s, my 100,000s, and so forth. So thank you so much for the hearts. Thank you so much for the roses. Thank you. It's it's hard to go up and down because I'm like looking at my abacus and then I'm looking at the camera. Anyways, sorry. So does anybody have any questions? Oh yes, thank you so much for the compliments. Thank you. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. We're going to continue on because why? Because there's more to life than just the friends. We need to know that there's more. Why? Because in abacus we have our friends. We start talking about making the 5. Okay. Well, in school we start talking about making tens, and making tens. Book comparison. Oh, book comparison. So I was trying to. Thank you, Audrey, for the reminder. So, here's my book. This book is available on Amazon at the moment. And what I was trying to do is I was trying to focus in on the children and making it entertaining and not so boring, right? So these are all activities that the kids. I'm going to make more books. I need to make more books. But for right now, this is what I have, and I was trying to compare like what we're trying to do in the abacus world. We usually teach children that are already know their numbers. So that's why I started going into like going before they know their numbers. Like, what is it before? Because you know why? Because in preschool, we're teaching them with die, which is fine. It's great. But we can also teach them with an abacus, and not everybody knows how to use it, which is fine too. But, that's why I'm here to educate. Now, what Audrey was mentioning about a book comparison is, like, afterwards, right, we start doing adding and subtracting. The books that are out there now, they're very boring. And I mean, my kids had gone through this, and it was painful because this is 60 questions of just straight questions. And I don't know about you, but this puts me to sleep. Like, it gets kind of mind numbing after a while. So that's why I was trying to make it like entertaining, right? I was trying to make it more engaging. So that's why I have like these questions and activities that they could do, like create their own face. I mean, some of them get a little creative. I showed them how to, I showed them the way I did it. I did like not really, but, and then I have it where they do it, right? And so I have it where, welcome, welcome, welcome. B. Brown. You answer the question, and there's supposed to be a puzzle here, but I already wrote it into the puzzle. I don't know if I have another. I have another picture. I have another activity. This one's a color by number, and then this one was an activity that I created where they count which is bigger, and they use the questions, and they start tallying it up. So the kids like to do comparisons and stuff. I try to find. Oh yeah. So here's another. Nope, that's not what it is. So this is. Oh, here it is. So here is another math puzzle. You answer the question and then you find the answer. So that was the one thing, and I was trying to make it engaging. Yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you, Green Pill. Yours looks really awesome and great use of both brain. Yes. Yes. Because Abacus is also about both brains, right? Why? Because we see it, right? We visually see it, and we also know how to move it. So that was the one thing. Yeah, when I was looking at the older books, I was like, wow, we gotta modern up a little bit. So that was the other thing, is I was trying to modernize Abacus. Teaching people is great, but also modernizing it so then it's more engaging. Because I noticed that some of the, my inspiration also comes from the preschool teachers now, where they start going into like, how do you add like this and how do you add that? So in school, I mean, we go through understanding, and there's like a whole bunch of questions how to do stuff. But then what I was doing is I'm focusing on the actual abacus content. These workbooks are great. Telling my sister who homeschools about this. Oh yeah, great. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I mean, I'm trying to get it to where I'm building my series. Now the reason why, just full transparency, like I just started down this path because I didn't think anybody would care. I honestly didn't think anybody would care. But I appreciate like everybody, not everybody, but those people that join my live, they find it fascinating, and I'm fantastic. This is great. And that's why it's addicting to go live, right, Audrey? Anyways, so this is the next step. We're back to the process of like, why are we doing this? We have our simple when we have our friends. After we do friends, after we know how to make a 5, we're taught in school, how do you make a 10? How do you make a 10? The same concept is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? The same concept is if I want to, you know what, we'll do 9 because 9 is the easiest. So this one is the plus 10s. In Abacus world, there's so many names to it. Some people call it family. So what we're doing is we're going to make a 10. Okay. Some people call it family. Some people call it big friends. Some people call it plus 10, right? Because adding a 10 is part of the formula. Some of them call it, I think that's it. In school, we're calling it make a 10. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to relate school with Abacus. And I'm always playing around with my camera. Okay. So why do I need to learn how to make a 10? To learn to make a 10 is critical because that's how we're going to use the next step on the Abacus. Okay. So there was this one story, and it was interesting. This one parent was like, can't I have my child know what 5 plus 8 is and 8 plus 5? Isn't that the same? And I'm like, no, it's not the same. Why is it not the same? Because it's the second add-in that we're worried about. It's not worried about, but it's the second add-in that we need to look at that makes it different. So here we have 5, right? We have 5, and we want, oh no, let's do this one. Sorry, I keep forgetting. We want an 8, right? We have 8. Now we need to add the 5. Well, notice we don't have enough beads to add the 5. That's the same question that I said when I asked about the 4. 4 plus 4, do we have enough? No. So now back to the original question, 8. 8 plus 5, do we have enough? Brighter, please. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I'm trying to get the... thank you so much for letting me know. Yeah, let me know if it's too dark, because I have to play around with my camera, and I just got to get a... Even if I put more light, it will darken everything, and I'm like, what's going on? So anyways, maybe I'll get a better camera next time. Okay, so we do 8, and we have the 5. Remember, if we know how to make the 5, if we know how to make a 10, right? 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. Fantastic, not a problem. But in school, that's all they leave it at that. Is this doubles? No, this is not learning your doubles. This is the mathematical abacus way, right? What does that mean? When we isolate this 5, we move this 5 over here. I'm talking to as adults, right? We want to understand, why are we doing this? Because when I rewrite this question, when I rewrite this formula, when I rewrite this equation, it will be plus the 10 minus the 5. Why did we do that? Because we started off with 5 plus 5, just so you know. Usually when I teach kids, it'll be like, just memorize this. That's it, right? Because the kids, they don't know anything, right? They don't understand. But we have like understanding. Like back in the day, we had to memorize all these things, and I like to the point where I want to know, why am I doing it? So I got to the point, it's like, why am I adding the stupid 5? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But when I put it on the abacus, right? I want to add this 5. I'm adding this 5. Well, to add this 5, I have to utilize this 10. Is there enough to add the 5? No, I don't have enough beads to add the 5. So what do? I have to add this 10. But doing a 10, adding a 10, here's another thing. In school, we call it grouping, right? Grouping. We call it regrouping. We can call it carry over, carry on, and then we also call it borrowing. There's a lot of vocabulary that goes around with this plus 10. This adding, like borrowing is the other way, right? It's taking away. Anyways, so what we're doing is we're going to add this 10. We're going to carry over to this 10. We're going to add this 10, but adding a 10 is too much. So you have to take away the 5. So now we balanced out the equation, and my answer is 13. So that is what we're doing here, is in this book, we're learning how to add the 10. It's a plus 10, it's a plus 10 with who. And I was trying to, like, with who is the owl. And so that is the fundamental understanding of what we were doing. So and it's easy enough. You just need to know how to, once you know how to make it 10, it's easy to carry over. It's easy to regroup to the next side. Now, the reason why we say plus 10 is because we want to go to the next column over. It doesn't matter if you had 800 plus 500, right? If we had the question 800 plus 500, same thing. It doesn't matter. We wouldn't say add the 5,000. We wouldn't say add 10,000. It wouldn't say add 1,000. What we would say is plus the 10 minus the 5. Plus the 10 minus the 5. So we boil it down to just the fundamental. What are we trying to do? Raise. So would 23 raise the yellow? Would 23 raise the yellow 1 under the green 10? So would 23, the yellow 1 under the green 10? 23. I'm not sure what that means. Sorry, green pill. So if I wanted 23, right, I have my 1s and I have my 10s. Right. Okay, cool. We'll carry on. So here, when we talk about this, let's talk about it, right? We do 800 plus 500, right? That's 3 digits, but notice we have the columns to help us. When we have the columns to help us, when we boil down this equation, we don't say, yes, we don't say 500, we don't say plus 500 minus 10 plus 5, like, I can even say it, plus 1000 minus 500. We don't say that. What we do say is plus the 5 is equal to plus the 10 minus the 5, right? Because the concept is plus the 10. Plus the 10 it just means to go to the next column over. So if you, okay, thank you. So if you add, if you just want to add the 10, so that's where you have all these other vocabulary, right? You have grouping, regrouping, carrying over. But in Abacus, we just say plus the 10. We don't say anything else. We just say plus the 10. So we plus the 10 and we take away the 5. And then our answer is 1,300. 1,300. So, yes, you're welcome. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. Thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those things like I was trying to understand, like how does mainstream math relate to Abacus? And that was like it's been going. I mean, it's still like a process because I don't know all the strategies that are being taught in school, right? I only know like here and there. My kids, when they were going through school, they didn't have a problem with they didn't have problems with math, so I didn't help them because they already knew Abacus, and they were able to like make connections between the two because they like, oh, that's what we do in Abacus. Well, they didn't say it, right? They were like, oh, I knew it, but I don't know why I know it. It was really funny. It was so funny when they were like they were trying to figure out like I don't remember how I learned it, but I learned it. So and I started making connections like when we start talking about isolating the variable and we talk about substitution and stuff, they're like, oh, so, and I was telling them, Abacus is actually the gateway to complex math. So when you start learning from, you know, you have your number sense and all this that, then you can go to Audrey and you can have like go algebra and stuff. But yeah, Abacus is the gateway to more complex math because we start talking about processes and stuff. There's a lot of similarities to what we do in Abacus to like everything else, but we don't talk about it. We don't in school when you teach the children, they don't have a conversation. They just say, just do it. But here, there's a lot of questions you should ask. Like, oh, and I need to finish this. The question is do I have enough? And if not, how do I get there? That's the ultimate question. And it's simple, right? So let's do this one. Now the mom was like, okay, well, can I just do the same? It's like, no, no, no. Just because the answer is the same doesn't mean that the question is the same. Why? Now we're going into this realm is called a two-step equation, which I'm going to take that too, Audrey. Two-step equation. Why? Because we learned our simple, which is this, right? This part here. We learned our plus 5, making the 5. That's what this is. Making a 5 and how do we utilize it? The next step is learning the tens, right? Make a 10. How do I make a 10 and how do I utilize it? That's what this yellow is. There we go. How is this yellow? That's what this yellow is, right? How to make a 10. Now the next thing is this two-step. This is the beginning part of the two-step. And then there's multiple two-steps. There's many ways to do two-step, but why are we learning two-step? Because it is taking the concept of the plus 5 and taking the concept of the plus 10s and we're bringing it together to make it two-step. So the question here is 5 plus 8. We add the 5 and we want to add the 8. Now, when we add the 8, we know it's plus the 8 is equal to plus the 10 and then minus the 2. How do I know it's that? Because when we do 8 plus 2, it's equal to 10. So we teach this in school, but we take it one step further in Abacus, right? So we know when we want to add the 8, I want to add the 8 to this column. I want to plus the 10, take away the 2. So here on the Abacus, I want to plus the 10. Yeah, see, I'm always playing around with this camera. Okay, that's too bright. Okay, so I want to plus the 10, right? So I'm going to plus the 10. I'm going to make sure I plus the 10 because I'm a little old and I sometimes forget what I do. So I want to plus the 10, and now I want to take away the 2. Now, when I did this one, notice it was a simple, right? Is there enough to minus the 5? Yes, so that's what I did. Now the question is can I take away the 2? No, I can't take away the 2. So what do? In school, we talk about making 5. So notice, if I want to take away the 2, I can utilize this 5. So in this example, I'm going to say minus 2 minus 3 equals to minus 5, because essentially what we're doing is we're going to take away this 5. But we need to isolate this 2. So when we isolate the 2, we move the 3 over here. So it's going to be, I'm going to rewrite it, minus the 2 equals minus the 5 plus the 3. I want to say these because I want to remind myself that what I'm going to do is I'm going to plus the 3 and take away the 5. Notice that? So I'm going to plus the 5, I'm going to plus the 5, I'm going to minus the 5, take away the 3. And that's it. Hi, Bookwitch. I don't know if she's safe. So that's why it's a two-step, because now this changed to this. That's why it's a two-step. And that's a next phase in understanding adding and subtracting. So, yeah. If there's any questions, let me know. Oh yeah, thank you for the hearts. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Oh, so that's what the two-step is. So that's what this is right here. And again, if we do it for the addition table, there's the subtraction, which I don't have it at hand. Oh, and so going back, that's what I did here. So here is we're doing 8. And I have it into a story. This time it's supposed to be space themed. So we do 8, so we add the 8, and then we want to add another 8. Again, we don't memorize our doubles, right? We memorize how to do the second add-in. So in our second add-in, I have it where I have an explanation, right? I want to do 8 plus 2 is equal to 10, but what I need to do is I need to move, right? I need to massage the equation, and make it into a formula that says plus the 8 is equal to plus the 10 minus the 2. So I plus the 10, and I take away the 2. So my answer is 16. You all right? Everybody okay? Everybody makes sense? All right. Okay. It is been about an hour, and I got to get kids ready for school. Hi, Joe. I'm about to leave, Joe. I'm sorry. Is there any other questions before I head out? Because I wanted to make sure I want to answer your questions. I will go on live again. I will go live again. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Thank you for joining. Is there any questions before I leave? Oh, there's my timer. I gotta get the kids ready for school. Because it's 10 minutes to 7 for me. I don't know where everybody else is, but it's time to get ready for school. Have a great day. Oh, have a great day. You too, Audrey. Great. Thank you so much, everybody. It is available on Amazon. You can find my name. My name. There's my name. I'm going to put my name right here. So if you wanted the books, it's available on Amazon. That's my name. Just go ahead and you could search it through this. There's only one. So far so good. So far so that's what I know. I'm sure there's plenty out there. But okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Have a good day. Good night or good day. Good day.